When do I grab a tight end? What tight end should I grab? We're here to tell you all about the tight end tiers. Producer. Welcome once again to the Dynasty Pulse right here on the Fantasy Sports Advice Network and also on the Undroppables and streaming on terrestrial radio 101.5, 105. Talking West Tennessee. Just Google talking West Tennessee. Listen to us on the radio. I am Bigz. I am here with my clowns from another circus, Grindberg and Schultzy. We are Sans, Coach, and Chev this week, but they will be back next week. It is the final edition of our tiers shows. We've done quarterbacks, we've done running backs, we've done wide receivers. We are now doing the tight ends. How you guys doing?
Doing awesome. Schultzy, how you doing, buddy?
Fantastic.
Love the enthusiasm. All right.
I was in the middle of talking, man. You're killing me.
How are you doing, Schultzy?
Said fantastic. We're wrapping up the end of summer, man. We got school starting back up next week. I think a lot of people already have the kiddos back in, but it goes by fast, you know? It's crazy.
Yeah. Football's right around the corner. We got a couple weeks until games start. Most home leagues are starting to draft this weekend, next week. Temperatures are dropping into the low triple digits. It's almost fall.
Yeah. Can't believe how fast that went by. You know, it was just a blink and summer's gone, and now we're heading into football season, like you said there, Bigz. And what better way to get it started with finishing off our tiers. And I'm liking what we see here. We created some really good quarterback, running back, and wide receiver tiers. Now let's work on these tight ends. This is a CrossFire edition of the Pulse where the tight ends go under the knife and only the toughest takes survive. So here's how it works. Like the past, we're going to each take a turn nominating a tight end for a specific tier. Before the next pick, we open the floor for a CrossFire reaction, a rebuttal, cosign, or a takedown. Then each host goes. It's fast, it's layered, it's Dynasty chaos in the best way. So, tier breaks are in play, so you can nominate a tier break if you want with your pick. So every break triggers a CrossFire response. So let's build it. Let's break it down. Let's fire it up. We have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, and tier 5 if we get there. The draft order is going to be Bigz, me, and then Schultzy, and then we'll do reverse order as we go up the tiers. And we have the flatline. So if somebody disagrees with somebody else, we could flatline it, and we can have a little debate, if you will. We've had some heated ones. We had some really good ones in the last couple shows. So I'm not expecting anything less of that. So let's start it off here, Bigz. Get the tiers up there, and who is the number one? I put that on the show sheet because it was almost like I needed to give him the opportunity to talk about his guy. So let's get from one. And who is your nominee for tier 1 there, Bigz?
So my nominee for tier 1 is going to be George Kittle. It is very apparent that when George Kittle's on the field, he is the leader in fantasy points per game. And I know that the way that drafts work, there are a couple other guys who already populated the list, huh? I know there are a couple of other guys who sit in this tier, but I just wanted to make sure that George Kittle was in this tier. Now, he has to play 17 full games if he wants to be the tight end 1. Whether that's possible or not, who's to say? But I don't think he's at more injury risk than any of the other guys that would wind up in this tier. And I wanted to offer you guys a chance to, share your thoughts and zig while you guys are zagging. So George Kittle, I'm nominating him for tier 1.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree he needs to be in this tier. Obviously, you going on a limb, reaching for him to go a little bit earlier. Some of the other guys that might, peg in as, tier as, tight end 1 or 2. But yeah, I think George Kittle certainly needs to be in this tier. Absolutely. What about you, Schultzy? Do you have any issues with that?
I don't know, man. Going into this, I thought it was going to be the obvious 2, and I was strongly considering a tier break here and leaving George Kittle out simply because of age. I know I've been on here before talking about how I don't care about his age stuff, but I think when we're talking tiers, not like what is he going to do this year or how do you feel about it? I don't know. I think we're talking about him just for this year. I throw the age argument out the window. I don't care. But talking tiers for Dynasty, yes, I do think the production is going to be there with these other guys, but I think because the age is way beyond, Bowers and McBride, I think that's why I would put him into tier 2, and I think I would put a tier break there.
So are you flatlining this?
Yeah.
So I would just counter that with tight ends tend to age better. You look at Travis Kelce, took him quite a while to start aging out. And I think George Kittle is absolutely viable for at least the next 3 or 4 years, which makes him a high round target, and even in dynasty startups.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with that. I think if you're going to use that criteria and call him a tier 1, well, then we need a tier 1 plus, because we've got 2 tight ends on the board who we're going to be solid about for 10 years. So, I think there's such a gap between those 2 and even George Kittle for the long-term future that I think that it needs to be noted.
Noted. George Kittle's older.
Thank you.
Noted, it's older. Okay. So I guess I'm the tiebreaker here. I have to come in and make a move here. I have George Kittle in this tier. I have this tier a little bit bigger than maybe some have it. So I'm gonna have to keep him here.
All right, and then that's it. It's all.
My apologies to you, Schultzy.
It's all right.
I'm gonna go ahead and put Trey McBride in this tier.
What? No way.
He's my he's just not just my tier 1 here. I think he's my tight end 1 in Dynasty right now. Age, production, role, situation. He checks every single box for me. He led all tight ends in receptions per game, with top 2 in yards per target. Finished top 6 in over 6 of his last 7 games. There's no guesswork here. No split usage, no declining QB or shaky system in this situation. He's the centerpiece of a stable, potentially ascending offense that's hopefully just getting started. And I just not talking about potential anymore. I think he's elite. So I love Trey McBride here. He averages 7 receptions per game, 9 targets. And he's got a 90% PFF receiving grade. So all these things are good, and hopefully some positive touchdown regression in his 3rd year here, or 4th year. Sorry, it will be huge things for him. So I'm liking this Trey McBride pick.
100% agree. And I let off the show, when should I draft a tight end? And the tight end environment has been pretty consistently, there was one guy at the top, and if you didn't get him, basically you could just kind of throw the dice and grab guys later. And I think there are 3 guys specifically in this tier. Probably Schultzy is going to be talking about the next one, where you kind of have to get these guys. They're going to, what we want to do is look at where they are in relation to wide receiver production, and whether that means that they're a 2nd round guy or a 3rd round guy. You really need to take a stab at these guys, because it's just an added bonus to your team if you can have one of these guys. So say you're drafting kind of like in the later round, or in the later picks, and a couple of the really high value wide receivers like CeeDee Lamb and Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson are off the board. definitely pair one of these guys with, you know, an up and comer like a Jackson Smith and Jigba, something like that. Use these guys as acquiring more picks, trading out, and getting some mid-round wide receivers, because there's a lot. And then kind of falling back a little bit to grab these guys, because they're going to be high point scorers. As far as positional contributions are concerned, these three guys are going to be at the very top pretty much every year for the next 5 years, or 10 for some of them, as Schultzy pointed out. So yeah, I think that these three guys are you got to grab these guys early, and they will help you.
Right, Schultzy. Give us a guy or two, or a tier break. What do we have here? Brock Bowers.
Well,
what is he doing in this tier? Wait,
Shock Bowers, am I right? Woo!
Shock Bowers.
Yeah, we got a rookie tight end who finished as the tight end one here. And I mean, what do you do with that? You put him as tier 1 in the tight end group, and I don't think you think twice about it. Absolutely dominant as a rookie. We saw 153 targets, 112 catches, and only 5 touchdowns. Like, you got to think that number is going up. They're going to have a ton of fun with this guy. We've got a real running back to take some pressure off now. Sky's the limit. The kid's 22 years old, man. Like, we watched Kelsey. We watched Kittle for so long now. I still don't know if we've ever seen someone like this guy. And it's going to be really fun. I'm really excited to keep watching. Soak it in. That's all I got. I know. I mean, I don't know. Bigz is what else? What are we missing here, man? This guy's absolutely electric. We had 8 games last year with 8 or more targets. He had 6 games of 9 or more catches. Like, no matter what angle you look at him here, like, it's good.
Yeah. And I think the thing that people are getting kind of wrapped up in is, well, his target share is going to go down. And that very well may be the case. But the fact that the Raiders kind of restructured their offense in this Chip Kelly offense means that with 2 4-3 burners on the outside, you're going to have to play at least cover 3, if not cover 4. And you're going to have to use your highest speed cornerbacks to account for Trey Tucker and Dante Thornton. You're going to have at least a safety who can keep up with Jacoby Myers. And then that means that Brock Bowers is going to see far fewer cornerback coverage than he did last year. And he's going to be covered by linebackers who are sitting in zones. So they're going to have quick feet. They're going to have to be able to, be the ultimate coverage linebackers. And he's still going to beat all of them. So he's a matchup nightmare. And if this offense is spread wide open, Brock Bowers is going to have a ton of room to work. There's 2 things that we learned about him and Ladd McConkey in their time in Georgia. Number 1, they're yak gods, and number 2, they're zone beaters. And if he's creating yards after the catch, he's a value add for all of his receptions, especially in PPR. There's no denying that even if his target share goes down by 10, 15 targets, give him a target less per game. The defense is going to be more spread out, and he's going to be able to add yards and hopefully another positive touchdown regression candidate. So I think the sky's the limit for this kid. He operates more as a wide receiver than he does as a tight end. And we have a healthy Michael Mayer for the entire season this year. So any of the inline blocking duties that need to be taken care of, it's not going to be Brock Bowers. Michael Mayer is going to be out there in 12 personnel. And that means that Brock Bowers is going to work further from the offensive line. Michael Mayer is going to be working closer to the offensive line, or the line of scrimmage rather. And the amount of weapons that they have, what Chip Kelly's brain is going to do with this offense is really exciting.
And on top of that, it doesn't even take getting beat up by Thornton or Tucker all game. It just takes one play for a defensive coordinator to just be like, well, crap, like we cannot let that one happen again. And it doesn't even take them connecting on that play or scoring on a play. All it takes is one of them blowing the top off and getting wide open, and they're going to see it. The coaches upstairs are going to see that and go, oh crap. And boom, now we're right back to Bowers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, enough can be said about him. I'm glad that we were able to not just throw him in there and not talk about him. I think it was important that, how special this guy actually is and how bright of a future he has it there. And I'm excited to see what he could do for years to come here. Now,
And it's all
Schultzy,
because he ate my pizza.
of course.
I can't believe I didn't see that one coming.
All right. So, Schultzy, now you got one more pick here. Now, what are you going to do in this situation? Are you tier breaking this or are you going to continue growing?
I'm tier breaking this, man. Like I think based on my flatline of Kittle, I think that was the obvious call here. I'm cool with keeping Kittle, and I think the production is there for the next few years. I think it's just a matter of how much more special in longevity these other two guys have. Regardless, all that said, I do feel strongly about a tier break here. Yes.
Okay. Bigz, do you have an issue with the tier break there?
I do not.
Okay. All right then. I'm gonna let that one slide too. So let's go into tier 2 here, and that's me now. And I'm gonna go with the guy that maybe I thought, I was whiffling on maybe flatlining you there because I think I see a lot of upside here. But I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna put Sam LaPorta as the tight end for me. I see some upside here, quite a bit actually, and you can nitpick the new coordinator change, the target dip all you want, but LaPorta is still a tier 2 dynasty tight end, if not a tier 1 in some circles. If we're putting Kittle up there, there's an argument you could definitely put Sam LaPorta there. He finished as the tight end 1 overall his rookie season, similar to how Bowers did last year. He followed up with a very good stretch in the last half of last year after he recovered from his injury, nearly 14 fantasy points per game over his last 9, showing a great situation still around him in Detroit. His numbers did dip early in 2024, but he battled that hamstring injury, like I mentioned, an ankle injury. He still played over 90% of the snaps down the stretch and rebounded when it mattered most. So he's got young talent, 17 touchdowns in 2 years, 90% snap share. I think he's just got the potential there, and he's young, and he's still got a lot of years ahead of him. So he certainly could be put in tier 1, but obviously at the top of tier 2, I don't think anybody here is going to really come at me for that one.
I have no quibble.
Nope. Not at all.
All right, Bigz, you got a double tap here, and let's see.
I get the tier 2 reach around.
Yeah, tier
right,
2 reach around.
Well, both of my tier 2 picks, I think are going to be controversial. If not allowing for somebody to come in here and give us a tier break and make Sam LaPorta in a tier 2 by himself. But the first one I'm going to go with is Mark Andrews. We talked about age with George Kittle. Andrews is 2 years younger than George Kittle is. Let's start off with that. And the other thing that kind of pops off the stat sheet is that there have only been 2 seasons where he hasn't finished top as tight end 6 or better. His rookie season, and then in 2023, he dealt with some injuries, came back strong in 2024, had a really rough go to start the season, and still finished as tight end 6. So when you start getting into the top, we're now in the top 5, and I say that you have to include Mark Andrews in the discussion of a top 5 tight end, and give him a full season of health. And I mean, he just it's what Baltimore does. They get Mark Andrews the ball, and so he's in tier 2 for me.
Schultzy, you already got rid of your flat line, so convince me here, if you must, to use mine up if you think so.
Well, the only thing I got about a flat line here, man, is Mark Andrews got in a car crash. Could have flatlined him. But he came back and he rose like a phoenix.
That was perfect.
He had a pulse.
So the Pulse came back, and now he's stronger than ever. No, I mean, I think this tier is very huge and very in my opinion, I think there's a lot of guys that could fit into this tier at this stage. So I'm a little, maybe regretting my flat line on the first tier break, because I think maybe LaPorta should have been in there, and then we talk about some other guys that need to be in this one. But yeah, I'm good with Andrews being there. As long as some of these other guys that I'm about to talk about get in there too.
Well, I disagree with you. I think this is another 3-player tier because of the fact that after this next nomination, there's not a lot of guys that are without question, right? And I think that is a huge group. But I think that adding Tucker Kraft here ends this tier. Tucker Kraft is an up-and-comer. He finished as the tight end 10 last year. Only more things will come from Tucker Kraft. And if there's a list of 6 tight ends that I cannot leave my draft without at least one of them, this would round out those top 6. The other guys after this, I'm pretty confident that you can lump a lot of them in together. Some of them are high scorers. Some of them have injury histories. Some of them are in bad situations. But these are the top 6 that are with the fewest flaws that I can see. So Tucker Kraft is rounding out my tier 2.
Yeah, I certainly agree that Tucker Kraft is in this tier. I think I'm on the verge of either breaking it, because you certainly convinced me to do so, but I think there's one more guy that I'd like to see here, and hopefully I can get him in. And I'm gonna nominate. All right, let's go. Let's go with TJ Hawkinson. I think that he should be in here still. 28 years old. He shouldn't fall outside tier 2, in my opinion. From 2020 to 2023, he was, consistently a top 6 fantasy tight end. He was actually tight end 1 overall in fantasy points per game in 2023. He tore his ACL, MCL late last year, but in 2024, but he had reduced speed. He's looking better now, and we're looking at a suspension potentially here for Jordan Addison to start the year, which is going to get him back into the good books in this Kevin O'Connell pass happy potential system here. I think there's still room. We talk about age with George Kittle. We talk about Mark Andrews. I don't see why we can't put TJ Hawkinson in here with who I think is going to be in a high-flying offense with the Vikings, even with a rookie quarterback or second-year quarterback, but rookie when you think about his playing time in the NFL here. So I like TJ Hawkinson, second in targets, third in receptions, third in yards per game among all tight ends over the last 3 years, 13 fantasy points per game in PPR over the last 3 seasons, 4th best. So, he still puts up really good numbers when he's playing. So I think, injuries aside, he still should be in this tier for me.
Did I say 6? I meant 7. There are 7 titles that I refuse to leave my draft without at least one of them. I forgot about Hawkinson. He wasn't populated on my list that I'm looking at on my phone, my little cheat sheet, because he didn't play enough last year. But yeah, I don't disagree with this. I just forgot about him.
Schultzy, any issue with that?
No, I'm good here. I think he's kind of a guy I've gone back and forth on, and I think that some of the injury stuff is a part of the reason for that. And I don't even think it's that I'm scared of injury stuff. I think Bigz just nailed it on the head. It's just we haven't seen him. So I don't know, just it's kind of been on the back burner. You haven't thought about him a lot. He wasn't blowing up the screen last year, which is fine. You were to expect that coming back from the injury. But I think there's a ton of opportunity there, and we've talked a ton about how much, as a collective on this show, we like JJ McCarthy. So you've got the Addison suspension, and you look at an early runway for some number 2 targets here, and yeah, I mean, he's got to be here. Like you put the faith back in me. I'm in.
Sweet. Now it's your turn here. Are you going to put the tier break now, or are you going to put another guy, try and squeak another guy in here?
No, I'm going to go ahead and tier break it here. For my first one, I think that's a solid break at tier 2, and I think tier 3 is where we start to get pretty jumbled. I think this might be a pretty big tier, but I'm going to start us off with Colston Loveland, man. And I just think, looking at rookies, I know we've got no production, but we're all the way down to tier 3 already. And this is Ben Johnson's handpicked guy, and we saw how that kind of went the first go around, right, with Sam LaPorta. And it's kind of funny because up a tier next year at this time, we could really be looking at Colston Loveland in tier 2 with Hawkinson and LaPorta, and they kind of, you know, the like Kevin Bacon actor game where you can like trace any actor to Kevin Bacon that they've been in a role within like 5 degrees of separation. These guys are kind of like that, where like TJ Hawkinson is on the Lions, and then they all involve Ben Johnson, and Ben Johnson and the Lions ship him off, and they say no, or they drag, they get LaPorta, like, here's our new guy, this is the guy. Then they move, and then they go get Colston Loveland with the Bears, and he's like, no, this is our guy. So they all got this little link to Ben Johnson here, but I think the fact that, one, obviously the draft capital says a ton, but that they have Komet and they still went out and got this guy. I don't think I think it's slight on Komet, to be honest. I think it does show that they don't necessarily love him as much as some people, or maybe the old staff did. But I also think it shows how much they just love Colston Loveland.
Yeah, I tend to agree. One of the things that, and this is going to kind of be the calling card for this tier, I'm scared that we're going to get into we're going to be throwing out a lot of potential production, because I think that there's at least 3 or 4 other guys that you have to talk about if you want to start talking about Colston Loveland, just based on the fact that we don't have any previous production to go by. And also given their team situation where they are in line to be the second target earner on their team or the third target earner on their team. So I think Colston Loveland, I said on the fantasy forecast, I think he winds up a top 10 tight end this year. I think that definitely deserves tier 3. I think there's a lot of balance that we're going to have to do in this tier 3 with like the 7 or 8 guys that we put in here, with young guys that don't have a lot of production on their resume, and old guys who are very productive, but you may want to fade a little bit in terms of dynasty startup drafts. I think this is going to be a very interesting tier.
I agree 100%. And I think that Colston Loveland should be in this tier for sure. I mean, at the top, pretty much with the opportunity, right? I mean, if he does hit, like you mentioned, Bigz, and an opportunity there in a Ben Johnson offense, like he's bound to go. But there's some other tight ends as well that there is, that youth, some of that uncertainty, some of that draft capital that could be, tread carefully here, folks. And I'm going to go with one of those other guys on the other end of the spectrum here as my first nominee for tier 3. As I'm going to go with a veteran guy that can show some top 5 potential when he's there. And if you're building a tier 3 around dependable every week starter with top 5 upside, then you're going to go with David Njoku. And I think he has to be in here. He's been a top 8 fantasy tight end in each of his last 3 seasons, and the volume, it backs it up. His running, 3rd most routes among all tight ends, with 3rd most targets and 4th most PPR points per game over the last 2 years. So that's not a flash in the pan. It's a proven profile, and he's done it with whoever the hell is throwing him the ball. And it looks like, Joe Flacco is going to start the year hucking it to him. And we know what he's done with Joe Flacco in the lineup. And I'm looking forward to Njoku coming off. And as long as he can stay healthy, which is a big thing, obviously. And Harold Fannin is definitely on his heels, but I still think that the top 8 tight end upside is there, and we're talking about a tier where if you can, wait in your drafts to pick up a guy, he's a guy I'm looking for, and he's definitely in that tier for me.
Yeah, I'm on board here, man. If you wanted, one of the things that was kind of not ideal about these Browns pass catchers was, as nuts as this sounds, was moving on from Jameis, right? I mean, we knew they weren't going to go out here and get a substantial upgrade in the offseason. So looking at the options, I think Flacco is the guy here who has the most similar play style, who's just going to stand back there and just let it rip and just fire the ball at these guys. He's not going to mess around running. He's not going to try and, well, Jameis will scramble around a ton back there, but he's not going to sit there and play around and try and, make stuff happen with his feet and get into all the scramble drill stuff. And he's just going to stand back there and let him rip. And that's a good thing for Njoku.
Even for short term, but I still think long term wise, he's still got a couple decent years left, with his age and where he's at. So yeah, Fannin does, prove some uncertainty there for me, but I still think that he's certainly belongs in this tier with some of the other question marks around. Now, Bigz, you got a double shot here.
Well, I was going to chime in on Njoku a little bit. I think Flacco is the best option for him. He is 29 years old. He doesn't have the production history of Mark Andrews, so obviously he can't go a tier up. But if you look at what he did last year, he averaged about 14 points per game and finished as tight end 11 in only 11 games. So he missed 6 games and still wound up there. I think he was saddled by a lack of production throughout his career in Cleveland, simply because that's not what the system was used for, and he wasn't highlighted as a go-to guy. He wasn't a go-to target, but he is as athletic as just about anybody on this list when he's healthy, and I think he's going to have a huge year.
Sweet, man. Well, I'm excited to see what you got up your sleeve here. I got a couple tight ends that I'd like to see up on this tier, but I like how you think outside the box, and I want to see what your thoughts are on some of these other guys here. Let's go, Bigz.
There is there's a lot of guys that kind of fit the mold that I'm about to talk about, and I can't do it. I can't do it. There are so many 30-year-old tight ends that are out there that are we going to be relying on them?
Isn't Kyle Pitts 30 now? He must be 30 by now, right? He's been in the league that long.
Like 24.
Somehow Kyle Pitts is only 17 now. He's like Benjamin Button.
He's 24 years old. So, I mean, this is so hard.
You got 2 picks, so I mean, if one is hard, I could just imagine what the second one is going to be like for you.
Dynasty Pulse, home of the dad noises.
I got to go with Pitts. There is 0 production history since his first year. I mean, he's finished as tight end 33, 13, and 15 in the last 3 years. But he's only 24 years old, and he's super athletic. There's got to be something there. And he's got Michael Penix now. And, I mean, it just – there's got to be something there. It's taking a shot, but when we're talking about dynasty startups, the other 6 guys that I would put into this list are all 30 plus, and that's not really a foundational kind of thing. So it kind of leads back to what I was saying with those top 7 guys. You have to get out of your startup draft with one of those top 7, because otherwise you're not getting a foundational tight end in Dynasty. So yeah, I'm going to go with I'm going to reluctantly go with Kyle Pitts.
I think I have to kind of agree here just based off of that. But I mean, if you're going with the Kyle Pitts and you're making a stab at him and you're putting some draft capital in there, you better be sure to have a veteran guy that could take on some of that weight for the next year or two until he can blossom or get a new situation where he can actually thrive. And so hopefully that is with, like you mentioned, the aforementioned Michael Penix, and hopefully that is a good situation for him, because I don't think it's sustainable for Drake May to continue on with a 38% target share the whole season. So I think that we're going to have to see some of that going to targets to Kyle Pitts and obviously Darnell Mooney. But I think this is a good situation, and it can't get any worse. And we saw what he could do in his rookie season. The potential is there. And like you mentioned, he's only 24. So yeah, I think it has to be in this tier.
I think he's younger than Tyler Shuck, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm just surprised that you didn't put. I mean, you have to get another guy in here. You have one more shot here at getting.
And I
it
think
can't get worse. Checks Twitter. He just got traded to the Steelers.
There it is.
The next guy I'm going to go with is kind of along the lines of Colston Loveland. He's a rookie. There's no NFL history to go back on. But the fact that he is on the New York Jets, they love him. Mason Taylor, I have pegged for a top 10 finish, and simply because there's nobody else to throw to besides Garrett Wilson. And so I think he's going to have a huge rookie season. And again, there are like 4 or 5 of these guys that I would include in this tier. I think in a dynasty startup, the 5 olds that I was thinking of, I think I'm drafting Mason Taylor and Colston Loveland ahead of. But if I'm in redraft, this tier 3, there's like 5 or 6 other guys that I think are around this level. So these are guys that in redraft you're going to be wanting to draft in like round 8 or later. But yeah, Mason Taylor's in tier 3 for me.
This feels kind of spicy, but I can't disagree with it. I don't know. You're right. The opportunity is the big one here. Like,
yeah.
If we saw 100 targets here, like I wouldn't be surprised.
Right.
All right. Well, okay. Let's let that one in. I'm going to go with Tyler Warren, who I'm surprised hasn't been nominated yet based off of his pedigree, where he was drafted. And now just getting word that is Daniel Jones going to be out the gate here. So I think that's a better situation for all the pass catchers in, Indianapolis. He's young, from what I hear, from what I see, he's a beast. He's good at all the aspects of the game, especially, when it comes down to some run blocking and stuff like that. So he's better than, where a guy like Loveland would be. So he may see the field a little bit more, especially in important situations. So I like Tyler Warren here. He is a rookie, obviously. He comes with that question mark, but having Daniel Jones be throwing him gives me a little bit more optimism than Anthony Richardson with that completion percentage and just his accuracy and stuff. So hopefully this is a good sign. And I think that Tyler Warren certainly needs to be in here with the draft capital that was invested in him. And some could probably argue he should be nominated a little bit further ahead, maybe after Loveland. But I don't see it there yet.
Well, this isn't a ranking, Mike. This is just a tiering. So it's not that he's necessarily behind David Njoku. It's just I think there's a little bit more target competition. The reason that I look at Mason Taylor a little bit more favorably than Tyler Warren isn't a talent thing. It's a situational thing. I think there's a lot more target competition in Indy than there is in New York, and that's the only reason that I would quibble. But Jelani Woods shares go boom.
I can't quit him, man.
All right, Schultzy, are you continuing on, or are you?
Only thing I want to say about Tyler Warren is I don't feel enough conviction on this to say like this is a hot take, but I'll say this. I wouldn't be entirely surprised if he led the Colts in targets this year.
So it's a good thing for him. So you definitely think
Spicy.
he's going to be in this tier.
Oh, I totally agree that he should be in this tier. Yeah, I'm saying I think there's a path that he leads the team in targets where a guy like Mason Taylor, like that's never happening, but Tyler Warren, it could.
I could see that happening too.
I mean, a healthy Michael Pittman, Josh Downs, and even Alec Pierce. Like I'm wow, Schultzy. All right.
I'm on your
I'm
page
here
here,
for it.
Schultzy. So I honestly I believe in the guy's raw talent. I think he's got the opportunity there. So yeah, I think he could do it as well. And that's what we're looking
15th
for in the
overall
tight end
pick.
is somebody that has the opportunity. So we're not saying it's going to happen, but that's a bold take, and I like it. I'm here for it, Schultzy.
Yeah, not something I'm stamping, putting a bold take on, an official bold take call on, but I think there's a path there.
And I'm here for it. I'm here to see it.
I'm gonna put trusty Travis Kelce in this tier,
And give him a nickname.
and give him a nickname, by golly.
Trusty Travis.
And I know some people might disagree with this one, and I don't care. Like, this is the dude. Since 16, he's been, at least in this league, scoring. It's a tight end premium league, but he's been a top 5 tight end every single freaking year. I get he's 35. I get it, man. Like, we've probably realistically got, 2 years of this, of like, not top 5, but like of stable production, maybe 3. But that's okay in tier 3. Like, I'm not like, this would be the perfect kind of guy to match with a Kyle Pitts if you're gonna go take the shot on Pitts and you just need a steady Eddie here to get you by to see what happens there, or maybe like was mentioned, to see if Pitts gets moved or something or signs a new contract, whatever. He's still going to see a ton of targets. Like, I don't think that's a big concern. I get that. Well, I get Xavier Worthy improved, and the Rashi Rice stuff is going on, and I don't know, man. I get there's probably gonna be some sort of dip here, but I just don't think it's substantial enough right now. And I still think we've got some time on this, that he deserves to be in this tier. And the guy caught 3 touchdowns last year. Like, that is not Travis Kelce. Like, that was the weirdest part. You don't have to be 25 blazing fast to score in the red zone. The Chiefs know how to scheme him in the red zone, and they do scheme him in the red zone. So that one, 3 touchdowns, that one's going up. I feel like some people would definitely disagree with me here, but I get the age stuff's a real concern at 35 years old. Got to have Travis Kelce in this tier, though.
I totally agree. There's been one season where he didn't finish as a top 10 tight end in his entire career, and that was his rookie season where he only played 1 game. He does only have 8 touchdowns combined over the last 2 years. So that's kind of concerning, because there are tight ends out there who had more than 8 touchdowns just last year alone. But when you look at it, he's been the relative picture of health. If you take out his rookie season, every year he's played at least 15 games. He had his worst PPR finish last year, the first time since year 2 that his worst finish since 2015. Since 2015, he had his worst total PPR finish, and he still finishes tight end 5. So he hadn't dipped below 200 PPR points since 2015. What were you doing in 2015?
Nothing productive.
Well, not being a top tight end, that's for sure. And yeah, we're gonna be tier 3. It is. I gotta have Travis Kelce in this tier for sure, guys.
I had as many fantasy points in 2013 as Travis Kelce did.
Fucking right,
Bro.
Good. That's huge.
Same.
All right, there, Schultz. You got one more. You got a tier break or another pick?
I gotta call a tier break here.
Interesting.
I'm going to flatline that. I think.
All right, go ahead.
Okay.
Convince me.
Convince you?
Yeah.
Well, I think with the spectrum of the talent we have on here, we got a lot of unproven rookies. We've got some veterans that have some question marks on here, and Kyle Pitts. I mean, we have Kyle Pitts on here, so I certainly think it's got room for a couple other guys that have certain roles potentially. I know there's like I could think of a couple for sure that I certainly think I need to be on here. I would put Evan Ingram up on this list for sure based off of his new role. But the guy that I certainly want on here is
wait.
Elijah.
If we're flatlining Schultzy's pick, give him another pick.
Okay, I'm gonna go Elijah Arroyo.
No. If we're flatlining Schultzy's tier break and there's not a tier break, then he should get another pick.
Oh well, no. Okay, yeah. Okay, what's your pick then, Schultzy? Do you agree with that? Do you agree with that? There, Bigz.
Yes, I agree that there's room for at least 5 or 6 more guys.
5 or 6 more guys. Holy Toledo! I mean,
well, he agrees with the flat line to remove your tier break. So you're gonna add another person on here then, Evan Ingram.
Yeah, this was the big one for me that I was trying to decide if I wanted to tier break or add him. And we've just got a really athletic guy. Going over to the Broncos here, now you mentioned his new role in this, whatever they're calling it, the Joker role here in the Broncos offense. He had back-to-back seasons in Jacksonville as tight end 5 and tight end 2. And last year just didn't come around for him. He got hurt. But the speed is there, the athleticism there, and I trust Sean Payton. I mentioned with in the QB episode that a big whiff of mine last year was Bo Nix, and I think because I didn't trust Sean Payton, and that was a whiff, was not trusting Sean Payton. And when Sean Payton's going to go out and target Evan Ingram and bring him on the team, I'm going to trust that. I think the target competition is a little murky here. There's a lot of mouths to feed, and I don't think there's a top. Well, Cortland Sutton's a top dog, but I think it gets a little murky behind that, where you could make the argument for a couple dudes. But yeah, I'm going to get on board with Evan Ingram here. We've got the athleticism, big opportunity. We've had past production. You got to trust it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
I agree. All right, I'm gonna sneak in. I'm gonna go with my guy Elijah Arroyo. I think with the release of Noah Fant, and he was a darling at the Senior Bowl, and we're looking at a lot of things pointing in his favor here. We got a aging Cooper Kupp that potentially is going to be playing in the slot there in Seattle, and I think that it was one injury away from an opportunity for Arroyo to be in a similar situation like Mason Taylor. And we know Arroyo is super athletic and he's got the opportunity here. And I like him in this situation. And obviously the Seahawks like him too, if they are able to move on from Noah Fant just like that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that one of the through lines for all these guys, and there are about to be 9 in this tier, is that all of them have the potential to finish from, unless there's a huge breakout season and they beat some of the tier 1 or tier 2 guys, you're looking at 10 players or more that have the potential to finish anywhere from tight end 8 to tight end 18. And I think that's why they all get lumped together. I'm going to go with 2. Go ahead.
I want to hear. I think you could fit 2 more in here. Maybe to wrap it up. I think I could think of 2 for sure.
I'm
here.
Gonna.
Yeah.
And that is Dallas Goedert and Hunter Henry. Now Goedert and Henry don't have injury luck on their side, but they definitely have the production when they're on the field. Last year, Dallas Goedert, or in past seasons, Dallas Goedert has averaged 12, 15 points per game from the tight end position. He's 30 years old, so that's another one, but he's also the guy in Philadelphia. And then Hunter Henry always sneaks up on people. Everybody always forgets him. And he finishes tight end 12 last year. So, that tight end 12 finish, that's tight end 1. He's right there. He's definitely he's not the production guy, but he's definitely reliable. And, he's got a young Drake May who's going to be slinging the ball around. So I think both of those guys fit in this tier pretty well. The thing about this tier is that for every guy that is in here, if there is an argument for and against them, and I think that the same can be said for Goddard and Henry.
That's fair. I think this tier is big enough that at this stage, I think we're okay with getting them in there. Schultzy, do you have any rebuttals to that at all?
Well, I don't have a flatline to use. I'm not the biggest fan of putting Henry in here. We've got a guy who, what?
No, I just got to get him. I wasn't expecting him on the show, so we're.
Yeah, we got to get a little picture made up for him. I mean, we've never seen him post more than 700 yards in a season. Kind of lives and dies by the touchdown. I mean, which is possible, with Drake May, we all think he's going to take another step. So like that possibility is still there. I don't know. They've brought in a lot of other dudes to throw the ball to. I think Hunter Henry's fine. I don't hate him. I don't really like him. I think I didn't put a lot of marbles in his basket, or eggs in his basket, I guess, whatever, mixing up, sayings, but we talked him up a lot last year. So maybe I feel a little snake bitten by him that he only caught 2 touchdowns when he was a guy we talked about a lot, but I don't have a flatline to use, so he stays.
He also had seven double-digit weeks. So he was getting some targets. He had 9, 6, 8, 4, 9, 8, 9, like in consecutive weeks in the middle of the season last year. And the first 6 weeks of the year, nobody could get him the ball. He had 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, and 3 receptions. So Drake May, better quarterback than the guy. Like his season really took off when Drake May started playing. And
yeah, I'm looking at that. You're definitely onto something with this.
Yeah, I think you got
targets as well. Yeah, targets, receptions, definitely. All right, I'm being persuaded.
And I love the up-to-date picture.
I know. I got one more I want to sneak in here before we end her. And that's Dalton Kincaid. I think he needs to be in here. He's got the draft capital. He's got a situation in Buffalo. Obviously, they wanted him to be their version of Travis Kelce, but we know that the Bills can't do anything as good as the Chiefs. So we knew that they weren't going to get a guy as good as Travis Kelce. But I think there's still some optimism here. He could still be a top target in that offense, and we know they can score at any given time. So I like where Dalton Kincaid can be, and he's still very young. So he's got to be in this group.
Yeah, I agree, and that's I think a really good place to end, so we don't have to start talking about Aronde Gadsden, Zach Ertz, and Jake Ferguson.
There we go. Schultzy, are you cool with that?
Yeah, I'm just kind of baffled of the fact that even if Kincaid hasn't been the player we projected or predicted him to be, for as much as they throw the ball and as much as they score points, he's caught 4 touchdowns in his career so far in 2 years. So that's weird, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like real weird.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking another 5-year, like 5th-year tight end breakout kind of deal, I think. Like, just you wait. Dalton Kincaid is coming.
Man, that was a great way to wrap up our tier series. I think we got some really good tiers happening here. I mean, there was some, situations here where maybe in retrospect, maybe we should have had Burrow in tier 1. And maybe he should have been there. But Bigz, that was a good one.
I agree.
All right, folks.
Yeah, in the words of Ozzy Osbourne, no more tears.
No more tears.
Oh,
wow.
Nah. Was that on the spot, or were you
Yeah.
saving that? You were sitting on that?
No.
All right, well, I just told them there are no more tiers.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, out there in fantasy land, don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the bell, go to the Fantasy Sports Advice Network merch shop, buy the merch, get the Dynasty Pulse shirt, get a Fantasy Forecast hat, get the Tiers hoodie, because that's my favorite thing, and I'll talk about it every time. Also, go get into the napkin leagues. That's a fun charity event, and watch all our stuff. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, and everything. Follow us on the Undroppables, and the Uncovered series is riding high with Raiders content tonight, which is last night or whatever. Yeah, we hope you win.
Hope you win, folks. And one more thing is for the merch shop, our code is Dynasty15 for 15% off. So if you're go into the FSAN merch shop, you could find all our stuff and use our code Dynasty15 to get 15% off. And
so you didn't prep me with that. You only gave me the
I
forecast.
I know. I'm sorry, Bigz. Sometimes
I'm gonna put in Dynasty 95.
Don't do that. Either forecast 15 or Dynasty 15.
15. All right. Peace out, everybody. Have a good week. We'll talk to you next week.